Hi, Katie. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Katie, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Katie, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Katie, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Katie, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Katie, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited. Here's my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Katie that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, how you're offering your solutions. These stuffs are amazing. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Katie is doing. And not only me now, but even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Katie. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Beautiful. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Katie, for let's say two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Katie, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, ever since I realized that light in the Hebrew language means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Katie on the show is for the sake of the audience. They say, Katie, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Katie, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Katie, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Katie got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Katie, over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, I recently wrote a book. It came out a couple of months ago. It's called When the Universe Holds Your Hair Back. At 47 years old, I found myself lost. I was successful in terms of my work, raising my children, sort of all the outside measures of that success. However, I had never dealt with my childhood abuse. And so when I was done raising my kids and they were getting ready to embark on their own adulthood life journey, I found myself really lost, struggling. Who am I without raising these children at home and having them here? And then also, it became really quickly apparent that I needed to address some of the lasting scars and effects of the childhood abuse, because I found myself really drinking quite a bit, working way too much, overeating, sort of all the things to numb or hide from these lasting scars.
And the beautiful part of it is here you are standing and sharing your solutions with the world, being beautiful and having great impact. That's awesome. So I've got some questions here. All right. All right. So can you describe the moment you knew something had to change? Got it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there was a number of moments. Number one, my children had both come to me separately. My daughter came to me first and just said that she was going to go back to college early because it seemed like I was distant. I wasn't really present. And she felt like her presence in our home was a distraction for me, which meant that I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't fulfilling that role of mother or enjoying spending time with family. And then the other one was we were at a family reunion and I was sitting by the fire pit with my son. And at family reunions in particular, we eat a lot of food and most people drink all day, kind of all day, all night type thing. And I had been drinking and it was the nighttime, and my son, who was sitting next to me at the fire pit, sat down next to me and he said, "Mom, I can tell that you're really struggling and you've had a really rough childhood." And he said, "You've done a phenomenal job raising us. And I think that it's really important for you to heal yourself and embark on a year of healing. And we have your back. We love you." And his words in particular motivated me to really start thinking outside of the box in terms of how was I going to change. I had tried talk therapy, exercise, sort of all these different modalities in an attempt to heal, but I also was taught to be strong, to be tough. And strong and tough meant the phrase was buck up. You just deal with it. You don't look to the past. You just keep going, keep doing. And I was doing so much, I was not really being. And I didn't want to face what I needed to face. And so with those two conversations in particular, it became extremely apparent that my children were concerned about me.
And I've got to say, you've got great kids, I tell you. You know, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so let us look at some common myths, all right? So, what are some common myths about healing childhood trauma?
Yeah, I think number one, that it happened so long ago. So why does it still impact you? That one in particular for me was really present because I had never thought about it. I just tried to move on and not think about it. And I had some pretty extreme or long-term forms of abuse that were happening. And I just, when I turned 18, I went to college and just decided that I'm going to have the most normal, in quotation marks, existence that I possibly could. Um, some of my family in particular weren't so fortunate. They suffered the impacts of the abuse and went to long-term drug use or life of crime. Long story short, they didn't make it, which I can see how that is a potential for a lot of folks that don't address their wounds. But I think also, it's interesting for me when I wrote the book. I had friends for 30 years that when they read the book, they were like, "I had no idea that your childhood was like that." So I think in terms of when you are successful or, by outside appearances that you look like you have it together, that those are really, we're abuse survivors or trauma survivors, we have these masks that we can wear that we show the world this side of ourselves. However, it was almost as if I had a double life. Like I would drink at night in my room by myself and really struggle. And so I think the one of the myths is that number one, you should just get over it. But if you never look at it, how are you supposed to move on? And number two, that although someone looks like their life is all together, we don't know what happens behind closed doors.
That's so true, I tell you. I tell you, that's so true. Okay, what about this one? I'm curious about the title of your book. What is the story behind your book title, When the Universe Holds Your Hair Back?
Well, it's really a metaphor for surrender and for trust in the divine and letting go of control, which was a big one for me. I always felt like I was very safe if I was in control. And when I embarked on the year of healing in particular and the type of modalities that I used, I really had to trust that the universe had me, was holding me, that I could get through it, and that there were forces, both seen and unseen, when I was going through this year that were there for me, sort of holding my hair back, rubbing my back, letting me know that I was going to be okay, that I was loved. All of the things that we forget when we find ourselves in a place where we feel unworthy.
Wow, I got that. I got that. Okay, so what do you wish people understood about high functioning trauma survivors? Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah, right. There's a lot. Number one, like I mentioned, really good at wearing masks. Oftentimes, what I think are noticeable traits that people don't realize is they might be very driven in their jobs. They might be searching for, it could be money, it could be validation, it could be all of the things that we need or we believe that we need when we are harmed to fill our bucket, when actually that, for me in particular, never really helped. For example, I would receive kind words or validation or thank you or gratitude, and I would not be able to actually receive it. It would just like, oh, they don't mean it, or I would give credit to someone else, that kind of thing. But I think that we may look, I talk about in the book, unfortunately, I had a family member that died by suicide. And by all outside appearances, she had this beautiful house. She was a athlete, a runner, picture perfect, like could be on a postcard. And then she died by suicide. And we just don't know the harm that someone is facing internally with that struggle. But I think that there are always, or there can be outside, um, things outside of ourselves that we can find where people are lost. And that is that extreme drive, seeking perfection, really that validation from external sources, that because we're just not able to really fill our own buckets. And so for me in particular, that was some of the struggle that I faced when I was going through this process. Also, addiction is a big one. And it could be with food or with alcohol or with substances, where people just think that they can actually numb their way out of it.
Mm, awesome. And thank you for handling that well. So, we have two more questions to go. Okay. So, what advice do you have for someone who feels stuck or numb?
Do you mind repeating that question one more time? Someone that fears.
Okay, okay, sure. I said, what advice do you have for someone who feels stuck or numb?
For me in particular, I think my version of a bad situation, and I had no idea, is that I repeated the patterns. For example, I would drink every night and wake up every day with shame. So I would do that every single day. I would feel guilt for not being the best version of myself. And I think numbing in particular, for me, when I got out of that situation and was able to see that there was another way I could live, I was able to feel joy, feel love, feel all of the things that I was actually numbing from. So I thought the substance, whether it be alcohol, food, whatever, overworking, would keep the wolves at bay, but that was actually the wolves in my life. And when I was able to stop drinking, for example, I was able to feel emotions more along the lines of happiness, joy, and all of the things that were just elusive to me in the past because I wasn't able or capable to see those.
Mm, I got that. Okay, finally, what is one key message you hope people take away from your story?
Well, I think there's multiple key messages. The reason why I wrote the book, When the Universe Holds Your Hair Back, is I thought it was really important. And trust me, this was challenging to be brave, to be really honest about what transpired and the impacts that this abuse has against children, what the abuse, how it impacts them as an adult. And I felt when I went through this year of healing with the use of, I use therapeutic psychedelics in a ceremonial setting, but me in particular, I really felt that it was important that when someone suffers abuse, it can have lasting impacts not only on the individual, but in their families, in their children that they have, in their communities. And my goal in particular was when I wrote this book and processed through the year of healing, that how could I be a messenger of light? How could I reverse that so that, as we know, when someone gets abused, it goes out, and I feel like it's almost a cancer in our communities. But what if it was the reverse? What if it was one person is healing and they get to not only help their ancestors, help their children, help their community, their village, and really the world at large? And I sensed, based on everything the world was going through and is going through, excuse me just a minute, that we needed more people to work towards the light.
Exactly, exactly. That's so true. We need more people to work towards the light. Beautiful. You say your story is so, how would I say it, powerful, and these are one of the stories that should never go untold and unheard. So thank you for, writing that beautiful book. So to bring this to an end, Katie, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like to make a purchase of your wonderful book, reach out to you, ask you questions, or open your services, how can that be possible?
Yeah, I think we forget, especially as we're walking through our days and our existence, that we are all worthy and that we are loved by forces seen and unseen. And they are waiting with bated breath for us to know that we are worthy, that we are loved, that we belong, that we have a divine purpose, right? We forget because it's hard when you're running to the grocery store or raising children or all the multitude of things that we go through. And so it's never too late for healing, number one. And again, we are all worthy. Um, and I learned that very profound lesson, and I look forward to the second half of my life because I now feel like my life is starting anew, and that is a real blessing. In terms of reaching me, my book is called When the Universe Holds Your Hair Back by Katie Baker, and that's on all major platforms, Amazon, Spotify. I did an audiobook as well, so it's on Spotify and Audible. And then they can reach me at peaceandfirehealing.com.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Katie. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Take care.